Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord our God. Amen. Please be seated. What great texts we have today. Oh my goodness. We're not going to get to all of them, so we'll do James in a couple weeks. All of James. We'll do all of James in a couple weeks. But back to back, we get some spicy gospels. Last week, James and the Syrophoenician woman went toe-to-toe in derogatory terms. And then this week, Jesus and Peter tell each other to epitomeo. Anyone? Shut up. And Lady Wisdom, in our Proverbs reading, is at her wit's end. You people, I have no patience for you. But both our gospel and Hebrew scriptures texts are, in their own ways, invitations to what we might call the good life. Not the easy life, not the financially profitable life, but the good life. They are invitations for us to answer the question that Jesus poses, and who do you say that I am? And that is an invitation for each of us to articulate our Christian ethics. And as we are starting this new school year, it sometimes helps to take a little bit of pause in the autopilot of our lives and to think about what matters to us. So what I want to do is to lay out the invitation in both our Hebrew scriptures and the gospel, and then to apply that invitation to how we think about our decision-making in the year ahead. And I think that it helps in these texts, especially that seem so mysterious. This is the wisdom from the beginning of the earth. Who do you say that I am? To demystify things a little bit into what wise living looks like. And then maybe at the end of the school year, when we look back, we'll have something to think about. So let's start with Proverbs, and then we'll go to the gospel and think about applying these things. The whole of Proverbs is a set of instructions to different audiences in how to live well, how to live with the wisdom that existed from before the world began. And they're not terribly abstract, but pretty concrete. It invites readers to think wisely about how to treat those around us, similar to what it's talking about in James today, of how to use our language kindly, because it can be used for good or ill. So how to treat those around us and the earth and our bodies. All of that is what Proverbs is getting at. And in our gospel text today, Jesus and Peter do get pretty fired up. They do. But the movement of the story is one of outwardly expanding invitation. So I want to look at that movement of what happens from Peter to the disciples to the crowd. Courtney Buggs and Emerson Powery explain, first, Jesus rebukes the disciples after Peter identifies him as the Messiah. Then Peter rebukes Jesus after Jesus teaches about the suffering to come. And then Jesus rebukes Peter again, but he's looking at the disciples and then looking out to the crowd. And in that, Jesus is doing something of breaking the fourth wall, looking at all of us into an invitation of discipleship. And we are invited into discipleship not as suffering for its own sake. Jesus died on the cross so that we don't have to, but into lives of obedience and discipleship. But how do we do that? What does it look like? What is something small enough that we could put it in our pocket and come back to when we make up all of the decisions of our lives? That brings us to the realm of applied Christian ethics. Kate Ott, the head of the ethics department at Garrett up the street, has a great approach for this, and I want to share it because it is so dead simple and something that we can use. So first, you think about, what is for you the most important takeaway about Jesus? When we look at the New Testament as a whole, or the Bible as a whole, what is the thing for you? Maybe it will be like my friend Ray found. Ray had a stutter and decided to learn American Sign Language and to be a priest to the deaf community. And one Sunday, Ray was sick, and someone in the congregation volunteered to give the sermon in his place. So the volunteer stood up, came to the front, and went, and then sat down. The entire congregation erupted into applause, and things were never the same for Ray after that. Anyone know what he signed? Be nice. Be nice. So maybe that is your number one biblical value. Or maybe it is, as we heard from Lady Wisdom in the Proverbs, protest, work for justice. But what is it for you? In the words of the gospel, who do you say that I am? And chances are, what you choose will be one of the heavenly virtues articulated by Ambrose, St. Augustine, and Prudentius. There's no way that's Prudentius's actual name as a person who articulated biblical values, but we'll give that to him. Chances are you will pick one of the early medieval heavenly virtues, because there's not that many. But it's important that it's in your own words. So whatever is your word, be nice. You hold on to it. And then, as the decisions of the year come up, and we don't need to invent them, they'll come up on their own. Our lives are filled with 1,000 decisions. You apply that to the situation. So say, for example, your phrase was indeed be nice or be kind. And you come to a point in the year when you are deciding that you are open to meeting someone and you sign up for a dating app. The question is, what dating app should you use? Well, then we apply the concept of be nice, be kind to this question. So what is the kindest, most considerate app in giving the other person a chance to say something real about themselves? And what is the one that is kindest to you? That's it. That is the secret decoder ring, the thing to hold in your pocket, to come back to again and again and again. But it gives us a tool to come back to that question again and again that Jesus poses. Who do you say that I am? Because a life of discipleship, the decision to take up our cross and follow Jesus, is no single moment or decision, at least not for most of us. It is 1,000 tiny turns that make up wise living. 1 million different concrete interactions with others and with ourselves and with how we want to be. And the hope is when we come to the end of the school year and look back, which I grant you is not exactly the Son of Man coming in glory with his Father and all the holy angels, but it is a moment of reflection on the arc of the year, that all of our lives will be a little bit more cross-shaped. We might not have gained power. We might not be richer in money, but we'll have had some help in what matters and what doesn't. And if Jesus were to ask at that moment in May, who do you say that I am? We would have something of an answer with the decisions of our lives this year as the proof text. Amen.